At last, the successor to Philip Lowe as Governor of the Reserve Bank has been announced. And it is, to the relief of many, a fairly orthodox choice. Michele Bullock has been at the Reserve Bank for nearly 4 decades and currently serves as its Deputy Governor. She was the first woman to be Deputy Governor of the RBA and now will be the first female governor. She's worked her way up in the Reserve Bank since joining it as an analyst in 1985. Now, she's no doubt learned a lot from her time as deputy, including learning from Governor Lowe's mistakes. She's had the lesson of being a close observer in the COVID period, during which the RBA overdid the stimulus provided to the economy. That error has contributed substantially to the build-up of inflationary pressures, and the pain has been compounded by the board being slow to lift interest rates. But, as Judith Sloan noted today, that's not exactly an outlier. That was a mistake made by most central banks around the world during the pandemic. Still, Bullock will surely have reflected carefully on this error and approach future crises with a more cautious hand. She will need to be careful not to speak too boldly lest she be blamed for the decisions others make in reliance on her predictions. And as Robert Gottliebsen said in today's Australian, she will have to be careful not to make the error that underpinned Mr. Lowe's erroneous prediction that interest rates would stay low. And that is to pay too much attention to the data that internal analysts have crunched, rather than also getting out of the office and listening to normal people on the ground. The risk that comes from waiting for the numbers alone is that that data often comes in months or a quarter after the event. And in a volatile economy, a shopkeeper can often provide a better sense of the pulse of the consumer and the economic confidence than the statistics from 3 months ago. As Gottliebsen observed, but if there is turmoil with big fluctuations up or down, then the official statistics can be many months old. And once a new trend has been isolated, it's too late to take early action. He gives the example that after Easter in 2020, the Australian economy started to boom, a development few expected. The Reserve Bank had to move quickly, or the boom would quickly ignite inflation. The statistics didn't isolate the boom until well into 2020 to 21. And that's that lag in time that means waiting just for the data rather than keeping your ear to the ground presents its own risks. It won't be easy to get the bean counters at the RBA to add a more qualitative approach to support their otherwise data-driven analysis. The incoming governor will have to navigate a lot of politics too. The fears of many people, myself included, that Labor would merely appoint a political patsy haven't been made out in this case, and for that I am enormously grateful. It would have been a disaster for the country to do anything that would erode the independence of the RBA. But Governor Bullock will have to contend with a challenging political environment nonetheless. Dr. Chalmers has shown very clearly that he is prepared to throw the RBA board under the bus if it's needed to meet his political objective of dodging blame for the hardship so many households face right now in managing the cost of living. And this governor will have to contend with the difficulty of being held accountable for the inflation rate when she only holds one of the many levers that determine it, with the remainder of them resting in the hands of the government. And far from engaging in the red and green tape reduction, industrial relations reform, investment in affordable energy and other productivity boosting policy that the economy really needs, well, at every turn, Labor shows it intends to spend big, increase regulation of the labour market, increase the burden of that red and green tape, and turn away from affordable baseload energy. And that means the drivers of inflation will continue to make the RBA's task much harder than it really should be. Add to that Labor's desire to make employment also a metric for the RBA to consider alongside inflation as a goal. And we have a recipe for an RBA board with a much tougher job, both in the economic and in the political sense. To use that old Chinese adage, the fox that chases multiple rabbits catches none. And there's the real risk that will happen by dividing the attention of the RBA to cover two goals instead of one. Now, to her credit, Michele Bullock has blazed an impressive trail in her career. But make no mistake, she still has a tough road ahead. In the interests of all Australians, I wish her well.